Gilligan's Island wasn't popular because it was clever television. It was popular because it was comforting television. And for me personally, it's one of my favorite shows of all time, not because it was perfect, but because it knew exactly what it was and never tried to be anything else. When Gilligan's Island premiered in the mid 1960s, America was in a strange place. The country was dealing with real tension: the Cold War, civil rights struggles, the beginnings of Vietnam, and a general sense that the world was becoming more complicated by the day. Television at that time served a very specific purpose. It wasn't trying to challenge viewers, it was trying to give them a break. Gilligan's Island understood that instinctively. The premise was absurd from the start. A 3 hour tour turns into a lifetime on a deserted island. The explanation made no sense, and the show never pretended it did. Radios worked when convenient. Generators appeared out of nowhere. The castaways could build elaborate contraptions but never fix a boat. Logic wasn't just bent, it was ignored. And that was the point. The show created a world where consequences were small and problems reset every episode. No matter what happened, by the end of the half hour, everything returned to normal. The characters were safe, the island was unchanged, and the audience knew exactly what they were getting. That predictability was powerful. The characters were also perfectly designed for broad appeal. Each castaway represented a type. The professor was intelligence. Marianne was kindness. Ginger was glamour. The skipper was authority and chaos. Howell represented wealth. Gilligan was innocence and clumsiness. Together, they formed a miniature society that reflected the real world without ever confronting it directly. Everyone could find someone to latch onto. There were no villains, no long running conflicts. Even disagreements were gentle. The humor came from personality clashes, misunderstandings, and physical comedy, not cruelty or tension. In a time when the outside world felt unstable, Gilligan's Island offered a place where nothing truly bad ever happened. That's a big reason it stuck. The show was also endlessly rewatchable. Because episodes didn't rely on continuity, you could drop in anywhere, reruns worked perfectly, and that mattered more than anyone realized at the time. Gilligan's Island became a staple of after school television, weekend marathons, and late night reruns. For many people, it wasn't just something you watched once, it was something that was always on. That's where my personal connection comes in. It's one of my favorite shows of all time because it feels timeless in a way very few shows do. You don't watch Gilligan's Island for plot, you watch it for tone, for familiarity, for the feeling that comes with it. It's the kind of show you can put on in the background and still enjoy, or actually sit and watch and catch jokes you've heard 100 times. And somehow, they still land. The humor wasn't sharp or cynical, it was physical, situational, and character driven. Gilligan falling down, the skipper yelling, plans failing at the last second. It was comedy built on rhythm, not surprise. And that rhythm became comforting. Another reason the show worked was its simplicity. There were no evolving story arcs, no character development that changed who people were. Gilligan was always Gilligan. The skipper was always the skipper. That consistency created trust. The audience didn't need to worry about the show changing out from under them. In a modern television world obsessed with reinvention, that kind of stability feels almost radical. The island itself became a character, isolated, safe, untouched by the outside world. No news, no politics, no deadlines, just coconut radios and bamboo huts. It represented an escape fantasy that wasn't about luxury, but about freedom from responsibility. Even the lack of rescue became part of the charm. They never got off the island, and viewers didn't actually want them to. Rescue would have ended the show, and subconsciously, everyone knew that. The island was where the magic lived. Over time, Gilligan's Island transcended its original run. It became part of American pop culture: references, parodies, catchphrases, theme songs that everyone knows whether they've seen the show or not. Very few sitcoms achieve that level of cultural saturation. Critics never loved it. It was often dismissed as silly, shallow, or lowbrow. But popularity doesn't always come from complexity. Sometimes it comes from emotional utility. Gilligan's Island made people feel good. It made them laugh without effort. It made the world feel manageable for 30 minutes at a time. That's not accidental, that's design, and that's why it endures. For me, it represents what television used to be able to do effortlessly: provide comfort without agenda, humor without edge, familiarity without boredom. It's one of my favorite shows of all time because it reminds me that entertainment doesn't always need to be deep to be meaningful. Sometimes it just needs to be kind. Gilligan's Island wasn't popular because it was brilliant television. It was popular because it was safe, warm, predictable, and endlessly welcoming. And decades later, that's still exactly why people love it.